right, folks, we are back here at WLTH 1370M. That's 92.7 in the FM dial if you're nasty. It is 6:43 in the PM here on Friday, 11, well, I guess it would be November the 22nd, 2024. The future's here. The future is now. Yes, it is. Future's not looking so bright, everybody. Oh God, no. We got some issues going on here, and we're gonna get into it with this new segment that we have called "Let's Talk About Sex."
Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about.
Yes, folks. Yes. Syphilis. Yes, syphilis is back, apparently. It is at its highest levels since the 1950s. Good God. So if you didn't know, syphilis is an STI because you can't call them STDs anymore. We have to have politically correct language for even venereal diseases. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted infection that was nearly eliminated in the United States at the beginning of the 21st century, but it has made a dramatic comeback. Yes, syphilis is back. Syphilis 2, Electric Boogaloo. In 2022, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention reported more than 200,000 syphilis cases, the highest in 70 years. Wow, that is crazy. Congenital syphilis has similarly increased tenfold over the past decade. The CDC says even though 90% of cases are fully preventable, you gotta wear condoms, folks. I'm wearing a condom now just to talk to you. Yeah, TMI, but still. Okay, just saying, folks. You gotta take these things serious. You gotta take all the precautions to avoid syphilis. The return of syphilis is the result, experts say, of poorly funded prevention programs over the past 2 decades and difficulties in diagnosis. Syphilis is referred to as the great imitator because its symptoms can vary so widely. Most people don't even show symptoms or know that they are infected. Even if they do visit a doctor's office, there's no guarantee they'll be properly diagnosed. I would say that the return of syphilis is due to people getting it on without condoms. But that's just me. Maybe, I mean, is there some other way that people are getting it without doing the do? Speaking of doing the do, you might want to stick around for the musical spotlight. Just saying. The all-encompassing nature of the COVID pandemic added fuel to this fire as Public Health Department redirected STI resources towards fighting the coronavirus. So a lot of the STI prevention programs were redirected for COVID. So a lot of people weren't getting condoms. They were putting the condom on their face, on the nose. They were getting the face diaper to keep from getting COVID, and weren't worried about the what they needed to protect down there. Now, some of these public health departments have launched eye-popping awareness campaigns trying to raise the alarm among both public and healthcare providers. American Indian and Alaska Natives have the highest syphilis rates of any racial or ethnic groups almost 7 times higher than white people. Good God. Stay away from the teepee, folks. Do not go into the teepee, whatever you do. You do not want to make wigwam. That's not what's up. In California, for example, half of the pregnant women with syphilis reported methamphetamine use and a quarter were homeless, which again, we have a huge homelessness problem. We talked about homelessness here and how other countries have basically solved homelessness in the most easy way possible by giving people homes to live in. In the state's rural Shasta County near the Oregon border, almost 100% of pregnant women with syphilis had substance abuse disorder, and 90% are homeless or unhoused. Why do we have to call people unhoused? How does that make it any better? Call them unhoused. They're homeless. If you're without a home, you are homeless. You are less of a home. Now, the U.S. got its syphilis rates down, but that was in the 90s when HIV was ravaging through America. Now you have generations of people who are not as informed, which, again, these younger generations are on TikTok. They are being shown all kinds of sexual content without any type of instruction on how to basically avoid these STDs. If you got young people in your family, make sure they get to talk about these things. I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about, but it is imperative that these young people know about their health and their bodies and about the type of risks that they are taking. TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all this other stuff, they make all these things look like the most fun things in the world, but when you have syphilis, you know, it's not so fun. Now, in June, the CDC recommended doxycycline post-exposure prophylaxis for high-risk groups, basically a morning-after pill for STIs. If taken within 72 hours of condomless sex, so-called doxy-prep reduces syphilis rates by over 70%. So that might be something you can look into, especially, like I said, if you have people, if you yourself are out in the streets, in them streets, or you know, particularly young people who are in the streets, tell them about doxy prep. So we really have to do a better job of educating people, especially young people, about what's going on here. Because, I mean, when I was a kid, when I was growing up during the 90s, during the Magic Johnson era, the Eazy-E era in the 90s, I mean, we were all just petrified of STDs. You know, we'd come to school and there'd be like, all our teachers there would be lined up like, don't have sex. Don't do it. We would, you know, I mean, they weren't messing around in the 90s. Like, it's not like now where everybody has such a laissez-faire attitude about everything. And so young people don't take these things serious, and they're bringing back syphilis. They're bringing back syphilis, folks. Good God. But that's not all. That's not all what's going on here in the country. Now, apparently people are having sex because syphilis is happening, but the U.S. birth rate is hit a new low, according to the CDC. Births in the United States dropped again between 2022 and 2023, according to new data from the CDC. The national birth rate has been steadily declining for 17 years in a row. That is scary. Like, I think you guys really don't understand what kind of demographic nightmare it is to have declining birth rates for 17, 18 years. Society runs on the idea that there will be enough young people to take care of the old people in society. And so when people aren't having children, that means there's going to be a lot of old people without young people to take care of them, without young people to be paying into the system. You know, people in my generation are paying taxes, but but we are not having kids, you know, and so this is going to have a huge effect on the economy in the upcoming years. Now, there was a particularly steep drop in births between 2007 and 2009 during the Great Recession. Of course, economics has really ripped my generation, the millennial generation, apart. We came out of high school right as 9/11 was happening, and the war in Iraq, and the economy collapsing in 2007 and 2008. Then, you know, as soon as we started getting our footing, then COVID happens, you know, endless wars. So, of course, a lot of young people are not trying to have kids. And so this is one thing that I will say about J.D. Vance. Donald Trump is just a degenerate, okay? We know that. Donald Trump is just a sort of, he is the id of America. He's sort of the lewd, lascivious, crude id of America. But J.D. Vance seemed to actually care about these types of issues. You know, that's how we got the famous quote of him talking about childless cat ladies. Now, obviously, he probably should have and could have said things in a much more artful way. But one thing he is right about is focusing on things that will help millennials and Zoomers get an economic leg up so we can have children. Because, again, we're seeing the sort of demographic crisis in places like Japan. Japan is in full-blown crisis mode because they don't have there's no young people in Japan. It's an old society. It is a rapidly aging society. Even China reversed its one-child policy because, again, China is starting to become a rapidly aging population. And so this is another one of those reasons why a lot of people, a lot of the elites are bringing in illegal immigrants into the country, because particularly young people, to deal with these type of demographic collapses. Between 2007 and 2022, the U.S. birth rate fell by 23%, according to the CDC. The general fertility rate fell by 3% last year. That's down to just 54.5 births per 1,000 women between the ages of 15 and 44. That's down from the 2022 rate of 56 births per 1,000 women, says the CDC. Teen births have declined every year since the 1990s and then continuing to fall. Now that's good news, okay? So this is why I keep telling people, teenage pregnancy is down, crime is down, lots of things are down since the 90s, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing we live in a much safer country, and in a country where 14-year-olds are not having a bunch of kids. What we're screwing up now is that the people from 18 to 45 or something are having the type of economic struggles that are not allowing people to create families. And again, that's something that I felt like Kamala Harris should have talked more about, but she was much more concerned with trying to help people kill fetuses. You know, and that's a problem of the Democratic Party and even the left. I'm not even going to lie, I'm a leftist. But even us, we talk more about killing fetuses than we do about creating fetuses. Even us on the left, we've created a world in which generations of people have been raised to see children as a burden. And just something that kills your ability to do what you want to do with your life. When again, if people aren't having kids, then it's going to completely destroy the succession plan that we have as a society, where younger people take care of older people. Hold on, caller. Let me finish. In 2007, that's 17 years ago, the general fertility rate reached a height not seen since the 1990s at 69.5 births per 1,000 women between the ages of 15 and 44. That's 1 percentage point higher than the year before. Since then, the birth rate has tumbled downward, in part due to the high cost of having children and concerns about future economic stability. Again, this is something that hopefully J.D. Vance can talk to Donald Trump about, who's incoming, because again, only person I see in the major political sphere talking about stuff like this, about how cost prohibitive it is to have children and about why it's important to have children, is J.D. Vance. So we need to deal with the type of declining birth rate on some level. But it's going to be hard to deal with that while at the same time being afraid of syphilis. Let me get this caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, Scott, real quick.
What's up?
Do you believe the push between abortion and this push on homosexuality and transgender, do you think that also have a effect on the number of kids?
Ooh, that's a good question. Thanks for calling, bro. Me and Jonathan used to talk about this all the time. Rest in peace to my mentor, Mr. Jonathan Booth. He always thought that the push for abortion and homosexuality, the LGBTQRSTUV stuff, was about population control. Okay, I can't go there fully with him. I mean, I'm generally pro-choice and letting adults decide what they want to do with their lives. It's a free country. You want to be gay, that's your business. You want to, have an abortion, generally speaking, that's your business. But he's very adamant about it being population control. And now, and after watching things like MAFA 21, thanks to Mr. Eddie Tarver, who recommended it, MAFA 21, I'm starting to see that there might be a little bit something to the population control idea. Okay, I can't prove it. But if you wanted to stop people, if you wanted to depopulate the earth, like, how would you do it? Like we just talked about last week, they're putting fertility-killing chemicals in our Cheerios, folks. Chemicals that are banned in all of, like, the rest of the world. So they know what's going on in our particular cereal here. Fertility-killing things all over our food. People make fun of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for talking about atrazine, but I'm pretty sure I played the clip of Professor Tyrone Hayes from Stanford University. He's not some random quack on the internet. He's a guy from Stanford University who talked about how atrazine in the water actually caused frogs to have sex change or have their sex organs change. So the atrazine in the water would actually change female frogs to male frogs to female frogs, things like that. Now it hasn't been proven in humans, but again, these things that are in our environment are having some effect. Like, all this can't be having no effect whatsoever on us. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of population control agenda. It certainly sounds like it, the way that it is, the way that things are shaking out. Hello, caller. Let me get this.
Hello?
What's up? What's up,
Hello?
caller? What's up, caller?
Okay, I'm just calling for clarification.
What's up?
Did I hear you say rest in peace, Jonathan Booth?
Yes.
Is he deceased?
Yes, ma'am. He passed earlier this year.
He did?
Yes. He passed earlier this year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. It was a very unfortunate thing. Again, like I said, he brought me here to this station here at WLTH. He was my mentor, taught me a lot about radio. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
It's all good.
Thank you
for calling. Yes, we still miss Jonathan very much. Voice here on this station for many, many, many years, and again, taught me a lot about radio and life. So, you know, I wouldn't be doing this show right now if it was not for him bringing me here. All right, folks, let's change the mood here from the scary and the solemn to happy happies. Yes, we're going to celebrate life next here on WLTH 1370M. Because we're all still here, it's important to celebrate life, folks.